My dear G. Kyuk, my dear grandson G. Kyoker, late grandfather showed up in his dream. G. Grandpa? Is he about to call out the lottery numbers? I have to write them down. Where are my pen and paper? G. Shiok, listen carefully. Something good is going to happen tomorrow. Not about the lottery numbers. No, you fool, forget about the lottery. I'd give you something better than lottery numbers. Don't you worry, his grandfather exclaimed, giving him a thumbs up. You listen to your grandpa words so well, and have been so good-natured this whole time. That's why I worked hard for this moment. There is something very good waiting for you tomorrow. Just continue to be a blessing to others. Grandpa? Listen to me, G, Shik. It's really important for you to do that. All right, my beloved grandson. I have to go now. Wait a minute, Grandpa. I'd rather get the lottery numbers than live like that. Grandpa? What the hell is happening tomorrow? My grandpa once told me I don't expect much. I didn't do much for you, so I won't demand anything from you in return. It's okay, even if you're not doing well in school. There's no need to do better than others. Just live your life with kindness. Being the child I was, I vowed at that moment to be a kind person and wailed that I would never steal ever again. My grandpa patted my head with his wrinkled hands for a good while. Hey, seems like we hunted a lot today. Fa hunters, they don't ever think about the people cleaning up after them. Monster corpses were strewn all over the place. Normal people would vomit at this cruel sight, but for Jiakyuk, it was all too familiar. He was a hunter assistant, and this world was nowhere close to normal. It was as if a game had become reality. Ji-kaik was hunter assistant. Number 20,431. An underling to the hunters. Jaishik used an electric saw to cut off a dead goblin an arm. Aren't you angry? One of Ji Kuko co-workers asked. I would be doing this job if I got mad at them every time, he replied. Maybe that's why the hunters find us disgusting. Jiok smoothly cut off the goblin arm. Swoop, Mr. Kong, his colleague, admired the neat cut. Your craftsmanship is truly artistic. It is worthy of being a textbook example for teaching newcomers, Mr. Khan said. Nothing will come out of praising me, Jiakat responded. It's just that. I'm proud of you. You're the only one who endured this job for this long at such a young age, and now you're much better than us. You keep persevere. Mr. Kang patted him on the back and gave him a thumbs up. Seriously, though, you have to give a thumbs up to Uma's skill. Don't you guys agree? The hunter assistants raised their thumbs when they heard him, but, of course. There and no one like they replied. I actually think that is going to be our next hunter assistant lead, Mr. Kang said in praise. I still choke up when I remember that he worked overtime for me so I could go to the hospital when my wife got sick. He wiped his eyes. Lee rolled his eyes. Oh my god, is this guy going through menopause? Men in their 50s sure tend to get emotional. What are you talking about? Thanks to him, my children and I were able to hold my wife in hand and say goodbye. When I think about that time, I, really thankful. He gave G Coke a thumbs up with both hands. Ring, you have received 7 likes. God has shown interest in you. Congratulations, your hidden abilities have been awakened. What the hell does this mean? Awakened. I became an awaken. Shiok may have been a little overwhelmed, but he could just let everyone find out about this. The body cam on his chest was recording 24/7 to surveil employees and prevent them from stealing resources from monsters. Usually, people scream, I'm an awakened. Those who awakened were usually in their prime. Between 10 and 25 years old, Ji-Kuk was 28, and the odds of him awakening were a lot lower than even winning the lottery. This is so cooling. Ji-Jiok kept going about his work while processing what had happened. If it were a mediocre ability, it's probably better to keep it hidden from the government. I'll pretend not to know anything until I finish work and take off that body cam. He continued working in silence, but the alarm rang again. Ring, please check your status window. As always, you are doing an awesome job. One of his co-workers praised Ji-Hyuk as he carried on with his work. Please check your status window. Please check your status window now. What is this? Does the system have an ego? Why does it keep pushing me? Am I weird? Did the system not expect me to keep working without checking the status window? I'm almost done loading everything up. Hunters gained countless rights and benefits. In this world, nothing came for free. Those in ranks A, B, and even C could more or less take care of their own lives. However, the story was different for those in rank D and below. What are you doing? Why aren't you getting on? I got on the back of the truck. The hunters glanced at us, mumbling, oh, why don't you wash up for once? Don't say that to the uneducated. All of the hunter assistant paces were flushed. Ji-Kyo raised his voice on purpose. Huntry Kim, Hee-Wan, Hunter Sian Lee, pal, how about you guys take apart some monsters and then see if you can actually remove the stench just by washing yourselves. It's not like we can use the special shampoo you guys have. When Jiko called the hunters by their real names, they looked flustered. Well, hey, let you go. The hunters looked disgusted, as if they had stepped on dog poop as they boarded the limousine bus in front of them. Lee taps Jikok on the shoulder. Thanks, Gur. For what? Just, thank you. I'm sure everyone feels the same way. The other assistants agreed and chimed in. Never gets discouraged, and he speaks so well. We're so grateful to have him. Everyone raised their thumbs. Ring, you have received 7 likes. Due to your sincerity, 3 likes will be added as a bonus. Current total, 17 likes. For goodness sake, what the hell is this? Doesn't the system usually notify people only when their stats or level increases? As soon as he took off his uniform and signed out, he took a shower and applied a pain relief patch. Lee often said most of their salary would go to medication, so this type of work wasn't something anyone should do for long. Then again, he also said he could help it as his 2 kids went to college, and he had to pay their tuition. I could get into college because I was dumb, but my kids got into a good one in Seoul. Haha. They are both smart like their mom. They did even study the patch is working so well today. G-Core entire body ached. Ji-Kyok grumbled and put on a shirt. His house was a small studio apartment, and it felt like heaven when he opened a can of beer and took a sip. System open. The system window that opened in front of Jiuk was completely different from the one he knew. Welcome to GodTube. You were selected by God to become the social star of GodTube. Coincidentally, a video was playing at the same time on G-Kokore phone where a streamer cooking something gave a thumbs up saying, "Does it look delicious? The GodTube influencer? Is a job offered by God?" From now on, you need to collect likes from other people. Each like will be converted to points, and you will grow based on how many you receive. Ji Kyuk saw himself in the video. When people gave him thumbs up, he began to shine and grew bigger. Check personal status. Ji Kekajob, GodTube influencer. Class, unknown God tier. You can increase your stats by using likes. I invest everything in mana. Would you like to use 15 likes to increase your mana to Efer rank? Yes, no. Usually, people thought it would be useful to develop strength or stamina, as one had to be able to smash skulls in order to survive when the goblins and orcs showed up. However, Ji Shiok upgraded his mana instead on purpose. Mana seems to be the most important, based on what I've seen. He had watched the hunters hunting in person instead of on GodTube or television. People often called hunter assistants sidekicks, but it was the best career for those who wanted a front row seat to witness a hunt. Mana is required to use skills, and the level of mana plays a great part in determining the victory. After all, the endurance and mastery of a hunter who could use skills 6 times was on a different level compared to the one who could only use them 3 times. Of course, there was no immediate difference in growth when increasing stats other than strength or stamina. That's why there were a lot of hunters who disregarded mana. Those kinds of hunters would fall behind in intermediate level dungeons. Huh? What is calculation formula? Why does it cost 15 likes to get to F? Looking closely, Jishuk thought the formula was weird. Oh, that's not right. There might be limits in place, since popular hunters could probably gain thousands of likes at once. I should use them with caution even if them easy to get. Yes. Your mana has been upgraded to F. You have spent 15 likes. Mana. Jikok could finally accumulate and use mana, as F pants was the lowest rank where one could start using it. He felt something flowing within his body and welling up in his heart. Huh? This is mana. Mana circulated around his heart and followed his will, gathering in the points he focused on. Ji Kyo concentrated the mana into his hands, then peeled off the pain relief patch and tore it apart with his bare hands. Whoa, I ripped it without needing scissors. It was only a paper-like patch, but Ji Kyuk was impressed. Would he be able to tear apart heavy-duty duct tape as well? Ring, your understanding of mana has improved. Mana. It can temporarily increase strength, durability if you use it on your body. It's more effective when applied to your skills. Jishiok could feel mana coming out of his body. After a few moments, it started to gather around him like a school of anchovies in the ocean. With this, Jiakyok was finally able to accept that he had awakened, but he didn't seem to have any skills yet. Should I collect more likes to gain a skill? He only had 2 likes left after upgrading his mana. Then he remembered the message mentioning the shop. Open the likes shop. A large stand popped up in front of him, and a never-ending list of skills appeared. Heavenly Demon's Single Flash. The legendary sword of the Heavenly Demon. It is said that it can even cleave the void. Acquires SS rank swordsmanship. Archangel's Serenade. A healing hymn played by Archangel Gabriel. Those who hear it will be cured of all illnesses and curses. Legend has it that once the skill has been fully mastered, the user can even bring the dead back to life. Acquires S-rank musicality. It can revive the dead. Ji-Chiak was surprised and scrolled down to check the price. 99,999,999. 999 likes. 9. Continued endlessly. Like a cheat code hack in an old classic game. Ji-Kyo closed the window as he felt his eyes were going to fall out. He could afford these anyway. Show me something I can buy with 2 likes. The list will be displayed. Searching. 3, 2. 432 skills for 1 like and 358 skills for 2 likes were found. A long list filled up his view. Breathing. You become healthier because you can breathe easily. Walking. You won't get sore muscles no matter how long you walk. Eating. You eat well and won't get an upset stomach no matter how fast you eat. Defecating. You are able to defecate well under any circumstances. Sleeping. You fall into a deep sleep almost immediately after lying on a pillow. Hi. Of course these skills are pretty basic since they cost so lit. All Gio could do was laugh. But can I buy an unlimited number of items if I have enough points? That and unusual. Others have restrictions when purchasing skill. Well, it wasn't going to cost him anything to go through the list, so he kept scrolling down. The skills were interesting. They even include watching, writing, spitting, swimming, and handstanding, massage. It helps the blood circulation and restores stamina. The user can apply the skill to others. Massage this is a good way to earn likes, since people usually give me a thumbs up after I massage them. This skill was definitely a diamond in the rough. Even if Ji-Huk used up all his likes, he could always put it to use and receive more thumbs up. Purchase the massage skill. This was how Ji-Huk would gain his capital. The next day, Ji-Huk went to work. Hey, you must be been tired yesterday, but you still came early. Mr. Kim kindly greeted him. Mr. Kim was always the first to report to work. He didn't live in a dorm, so he commuted from his place in Gyeonggi-do by transit. Since the early morning bus didn't charge for the Seoul toll gate, he took the first bus early every morning. It was 2 hours each way, so 4 hours round trip. He said that living together with his family was completely worth it, despite the lack of rest. Nah, it must be been hard for you as well yesterday. Why don't you take some rest? T. Cook. What are the point of taking a break? There nothing to do. You could rather work and earn more money. Mr. Kim grumbled and put on his work uniform. Nishuk also changed into his uniform and placed a body cam on his chest. Beep. Employee authentication. Successful. Good morning. Employee number 20,431. The body cam turned on with a beep. Ji-Hyuk still could get used to it, even though he heard it every morning. Can I upload this video later? He inquired. Why? Mr. Kim asked. Hunters post their body cam records on their personal video channels. So I was wondering if we could do that too. Do you think it would be okay, since we are just cleaners? Chico looked at him. You agreed to the confidentiality clause when signing the contract. Why would people like us upload videos of what we do? Mr. Kim shook his head and put a cigarette in his mouth. After letting out puffs of smoke for a while, his eyes widened with determination. Never mind. I'd ask the management, he said. You'd help me? What do you mean? Help. They'll scold you. So I thought it would be better if you had company. That's the only reason I'm tagging along, Mr. Kim smiled cleverly, and Ji-Cook guessed that he meant that he shouldn't expect much. Ji-Cook knew it was hard for mayflies like them to ask for something from the headquarters. Thank you, he said. We'd be told off together, so don't look forward to it too much. Mr. Kim replied, but still, I really appreciate it. He put out his cigarette and nodded instead of answering. Then he raised his thumb. You must have some plans. So, you have received 1 like. I should have been the one giving him one. Ji-Kat expected that Mr. Kim would support him and cheer him up like that. Thank you, Ji-Ki said sincerely. You are welcome. Then Mr. Kim left. seemingly embarrassed to have said that. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. I heard you're going to ask the headquarters if you can upload your body cam video, one of G. Kiko co-workers asks. That day, Dask popped up again, and it was just as always, the usual slicing and carrying dead monsters. Some people called the hunter assistants ants, and some would scold their kids and tell them to study hard so they don't end up becoming one. Ji Shiuk didn't care about any of that, and was just glad no one had gotten injured that day. His body was dead tired, but his mind was bored. Oh, did Mr. Kim tell you? Whoa, those rumors spread fast. It doesn't matter. We should all go together and ask, he said. Yes, we need to propose it together so our voices are strong, another co-worker replied. He re-rating scolded is fun sometimes when you have company. Don't be scared of bringing it up, the other smiled. Each of the 7 co-workers around Ji-kook suggested talking to the headquarters together, although none of them really thought it would work. He was still grateful to them, and he felt touched. Shall we take a break, Ji? Shiuk asked. Yes, it's gym break time. Hey, Mr. Kang, let's take some rest. Everyone decided to take a break at Ji Shiuk's suggestion. Now was the perfect time to give them a massage. How do I use this skill? Use the massage skill. There is no target. Noticing that he had to activate the skill while massaging, Ji Kyok approached Mr. Kim, who had spoken to him first. Stretch your shulk, Ji Kuk said. Why are you going to give me a massage? Mr. Kim asked. Ji Kuk replied. No thanks. His tone was cold, and Ji Kuk might have been embarrassed in the old days. However, he now knew they needed to save energy for work. Mr. Kim purposely refused so directly because he was worried that Ji Kuk would collapse later during work. Hey, in this case, it was better for Jiuk to just pull Mr. Kim's shoulders and start massaging. Then, Mr. Kim would be able to pretend that he couldn't win against Ji Kyok's power. Oh no, you won't get anything for doing this. Mr. Kim closed his eyes as he said so. Use the massage skill. The massage skill will now be activated. It worked. Ji-hook's hand automatically began to press down on Mr. Kim's shoulders and unravel the hardened muscles. Although he had never learned any massage techniques, Ji-Kyuk moved like an expert. This hurts, Mr. Kim mumbled. Should I stop? Ji-Kyuk asked. No, go on. Oddly enough, it feels pretty nice. The stiff muscles loosened up with a cracking sound. Then, Mr. Kim's back straightened. Wow, where did you learn that? People had been watching, and they gathered one by one around the two of them. He massages like a profession. Whoa, even experts can do it that well. Mr. Kim raised his thumb, feeling refreshed, despite the pain. Wow, it looks like he does a killer massage. The people around started muttering. Ring, you have received one like. It was nice getting a thumbs up in real time. After Ji Kyok finished the massage, Mr. Kim stood up and jumped with joy. Ow! I feel like I've gotten 10 years younger. You're exaggerating, someone said. I'm telling you, it ain't so good. The stiffness in my shoulders just melted away, Mr. Kim proclaimed, and everyone burst into laughter, pulling his shoulders back and straightening his posture with confidence. Jiakek said out loud, Everybody line up, I give each and every one of you a massage. He had thought they would like his offer, since it cost them nothing. But the faces of the middle-aged men turned rigid, and one of them spoke. You're going to faint from exhaustion if you give all of us a massage. It's okay, we were just looking, another one added. Do you offer to go with me to headquarters and get scolded together? So let me massage your shoulder, Ji, Shiuk said. If you faint, I've cover for you. Seeing how my shoulders are in great condition, I can totally do it. Mr. Kim cheered and gestured with a strong fist, everyone bursting into laughter at the sight. Then Mr. Lee mustered the courage to speak. Yeah, I'd help cover for M2 if he collapses. 2 are better than 1. 3 are good too, right? Mr. Jung chimed in. Come on already, all 7 of you can cover for me, Ji, Shiuk urged. And that was how he managed to give everyone a massage. You have received 1 like. Of course, everyone had given him a like. For those who didn't raise their thumb. First, Ji Sheik would raise his and ask wasn't it good? How about I put some mana into my massage? Wow, why? Body feels stronger. I felt like this in a long while. If the hunters find out that I'm doing this, they might start questioning why my massages are so good. I better keep it a secret from the guide. Ring. You have greatly helped a sick patient. Skill XP bonus. You have increased your massage rank. Massage rank. What this? Seriously, this massage is so good. It's probably the best I've ever received in my life. Where did you learn to massage like that? Mr. Kang praised. Crack. Mr. Kang stretched his arm behind his back. Whoa, Mr. Kang. Didn't you say you could even raise your arms because of muscle cramps? Someone else asked. My soreness wasn't going away even after getting acupuncture at the clinic, but now it's all gone. Mr. Kang exclaimed, You have awakened the secret of massaging. You have increased your massage rank. Massage rank D. You have healing power has increased. Jikok then spoke in high spirits. The rest of you come here. I give you a satisfying massage. It is the hand of healing. The hand of healing, the others chanted. Everyone who got a massage from him was shocked by how good it was and gave Ji-kyuk a thumbs up. Even the driver, Mrs. Rong, came over and got a massage from him. Crack. That was a bit loud. Doesn't it get hurt, Ji? Shok asked concerningly. It is amazing. Nothing hurts at all. Whoa. How in the hell did you do that, Mum? Mrs. Rong asked with her eyes wide open, to which Ji-kyuk raised his thumb and replied, I'm just happy that it relieved your pain. Mrs. Rung raised both of her thumbs along with him. Oh my soreness is completely gone. Ji-kyuk collected 34 likes from giving massages. After investing 2 likes into purchasing the massage skill and 15 likes to increase his mana, he had raked in double his original investment and even obtained skill experience bonuses. That was a crazy return. Wow, this really works. A body cam? Is that what all of you are here for? Team leader, Jung Ji-han asked as the group approached him after their shift had ended. He wore thin, silver-rimmed glasses and a neat hair parting. He looked like a boji as he wore a black suit on top of his well-maintained body along with a faint smell of premium lotion. On top of that limited edition, luxury bags were strewn beneath his desk with some made of rare salamander monster leather. Ji-kyuk was stunned when he recognized items auctioned on GodTube for 3 billion won. It probably a fake, right? No way that is re. Don't tell me there, a guy who just throws a 3 billion on salamander bag around. With a good-looking face like his, there was no doubt that Jung Ji-han was on a magazine cover somewhere. Is he a model? Yeah, he definitely is. Isn't there anyone else in the management department of all the people you could have approached? Why did you ask me? The youngest one? Jung Ji-han asked, implying that he was in the position to give such permissions. Just then, more employees entered the team leader office. Some of them were smiling, some expressionless, or even frowning, but everyone felt the same tension. It was nerve-wracking. As the office door closed, teaming leader Jung Ji-han tapped his ballpoint pen on the table as he contemplated the matter. The silence felt like an eternity, and Ji-kyuk was getting impatient. Mr. Isn't your contract renewal due in 2 months? Jung Ji-han asked. Yes, you're right, Ji. Hyuk responded. Does that mean you're going to fire me when it's over? Can everyone please give us the room? Jung Ji-hong asked W. Wait, hold on. Because I tempted him, Mr. Kim exclaimed. Ji-kyuk hurriedly pushed Mr. Kimber's arm away. Yes, sir, click. The previously crowded room instantly felt spacious after everyone left, leaving Jung Ji-han and Ji-kyuk alone, honestly. I never expected such a request to come from a hunter assistant, and you even did it as a group. You got a lot of courage, Jung Ji-han said firmly as he sat across from Ji-kyuk. Ji-kyuk barely caught the last bus to return to his dormitory after his conversation with Jung Ji-han concluded. He took a seat at the back of the bus and blankly fidgeted with the folder given by Jung Ji-han in his hand. I approve of this, but I should be the one asking for the favor. I've actually been looking for someone suitable as well. Jung Ji-han gave Ji-kyuk an answer without even consulting with his superior. Did he actually have that authority? Or were there other plans in place? There? Yeah, no need for a revenue share, since we want to interfere. But instead, the conditions Jung Ji-han listed were bullshit. Not that it mattered to Ji-kyuk, since there was no real reason for him to refuse. I plan on stepping out into the limelight like my brothers and sisters. Do you think you'd be able to get a lot of views? Junji Han asked. When Ji Kyuk suggested hiring an expert, young Ji Han smirked in response. Oh no, it would be better if it was shot in a shabbier and rawer setting. I would like to give you a down payment, but it be traced down. Don't worry though. You will be greatly rewarded in the next stage. The file contained a filming permit with the seal of Jung Ji Han and several executive directors. He had electronically signed the document, and when he sent it out, the executive directors immediately stamped it and sent it back. Jung Ji Han had printed it out and handed it over to Ji Huk, even though it was late into the night. Cars still filled the streets of Seoul. Just then, whom? Jae-kook looked out the window as something that looked like a meteor flew by in the distance. A light, and the light fell. Bam! The bus shook as the loud sound filled Jae-kook's ears. The sound of people screaming hit Jae-kook's eardrums. He was suffocating, and the dinner he had eaten churned in his stomach. Before Jae-kook was able to get a hold of himself, the bus began to roll upside down. I need to grab onto something. In a split second, everything went dark. When Jae-kook opened his eyes, he found himself lying against the ceiling of the upturned bus. Ko. Hugh. Jae-kook wheezed. First, let her use my massage skill. You are casting the massage skill onto yourself. Your stamina and strength will gradually be restored. Jae-kook gently grabbed his swollen right arm and began to massage it with his other hand. It was a pretty basic recovery skill, but then again he was just a hunter who had awakened the day before. It appeared that, having reached rank D in his massage skill rank, he had the ability to stop the bleeding. It looked like he was applying a first aid skill, not a massage. Well, I think I'm stable and okay now. I better look around. Jae-kook's body cam had automatically turned on as it detected the shot. There were a total of 8 people inside the bus, including the driver. But Jae-kook was the only one to shout. Children, is everyone okay? There had to be someone who needed help. Jae-kook couldn't just act like any average person. Instead, he tried to approach each passenger and cast the massage skill onto them. Are you okay? Please be okay. Cough. Ooh. Subject, rate HP has been fully restored. Abnormal stun status has been removed. You have increased your massage skill significantly. You have increased your massage rank. Massage rank, 0. Core attribute, emergency first aid, has been obtained. Jae-kook continued to treat the fallen passengers and repeatedly cast his massage skill onto their broken injuries. Where am I? Someone moaned. But you're inside the bus. Please do not go outside. Jae-kook explained. You have acquired additional effects by leveling up your massage skill. From now on, you will automatically receive likes when performing a massage. You have received 1 like. You have received 10 likes. Thank you. Thank you. I can't believe you're giving me the same quality treatment as a professional therapist while we're on a bus path. The passengers who regained consciousness were relieved that they had kept their lives. Don't take worry. I'm unawakened. I'm going to see how things are outside and come back. Jae-kook said confidently. Jae-kook opened the bus window and pulled himself out. It reeked of burning gasoline, and it was complete pandemonium outside. In the far distance, Jae-kook noticed a white light. It was a burning halo of light that almost appeared holy, but from which strange beings crawled out. Krrr, screech! The first thing that came out was a green dwarf waving a club. A gate. A gate opening. It appeared to be a gate in its early stage, the door to a dungeon full of monsters. Jae-kook had never imagined that a gate would open in the middle of Seoul. His hair instantly stood on end, and his hands became sweaty. That goblin in front of me is simply a scout. And when it returns to the gate, the main troops will come up. Will it be fine? Can I do this? If the monsters entered Seoul and scattered, a lot of people would die while pursuing them. It was like having a crack in a dam. I think you'll be able to leave now. Run as far away as you can. He explained the situation to the passengers. Raise your hand if you're seriously injured. Who can move by themselves? Jae-kook inquired. After confirming that the passengers were leaving the bus one by one, he immediately called forth the store. The store menu appeared before his eyes as its theme sound rang. Purchase the beginner package. Use all my remaining points to build strength. At that moment, a short sword and a shield took shape in Jae-kook's hands. A sprout symbol appeared above Jae-kook's head, which indicated that he was a beginner. Everyone looked at his head in amazement. As the scouting goblin was returning to the gate, Ji Kyok ran towards it and swung his sword. The goblin noticed him and screeched. The goblin was more agile than Ji-Cook and threw its club first. However, Ji-Cook instinctively blocked it with his shield. While the goblin staggered to regain its balance, he sliced its head off with his sword. 3 more scout goblins crawled out from the gate, and Ji-Cook knew that the goblins would keep coming as long as the gate was left open. Watching the goblins, looking around, Ji-Cook charged at them without hesitation. Ata ata! He thrust his sword out at one of the bewildered goblins. The tip of the blade pierced the goblin throat. I got one. I cook. Q of the 3 goblins that had gotten out of the gate. The one in the middle dropped dead. The remaining 2 charged at Ji-Cook from each side. They were holding short daggers and wore what seemed to be tattered leather clothing. One leapt like a frog and lunged to strike him, while the other thrusted his knife from below. In the fleeting moment, he reacted quickly. Pulling out his sword from the first goblin throat, Ji-Kyuk swiftly took 2 steps back and swung his shield. He was ready. Bang! Kyuk! The goblin that leapt like a frog smashed into Ji-Kyuk's shield and rolled onto the ground. With no time to lose, he raised his sword, charging at the other goblin and slashing down at it. Thud. It's a good day to kill, isn't? Noted letting go, my goblin Franji. Shiok looked to his side as random thoughts filled his mind. The goblin who had fallen after taking a hit from his shield was now rolling around uncontrollably, as if its back hurt. There was not enough time for Ji-Kyuk to pull his sword out of the skull that he had just chopped into as such. With his shield ready, Ji-Kyuk inched closer to the injured goblin. Bang, bang, thud Ji. Shiok struck the goblin neck with the edge of the shield. Whoof. All 3 goblins had been handled. Sword and shield skill has increased by 1 level. Steady heart skill has increased by 1 level. Nearby citizens admire you. Citizen No.3 that you just saved from the goblins is expressing his gratitude. You have received 17 likes. You have received 21 likes. You have received 11 likes. You have received 21 likes. Wolji Shikok was surprised. As Zikok went to retrieve his sword that was stuck in the goblin's skull, so many messages popped up. Maybe it was because of the beginner package which had improved his skills. But where were all these likes coming from? Huh? He was confused. Looking side to side, Ji-Heek became aware of the many eyes staring at him. It wasn't just the people in the streets. Those in the nearby buildings were looking through the windows, and some were even recording him with their phones. You have received 3 likes. You have received 2 likes. The likes kept increasing, and that when it hit him. Do I get likes even when people are just thankful and cheering for what I've done? Shiok was relieved. After thinking about it some more, he pulled out his sword and stood in front of the gate. The goblins were poking their heads out of the gate one by one. Gaining so many likes is so empowering. Ji-Cook could stop now. Instead, he readied himself to deal with the goblins. As more and more goblins came out of the gate, however, they started spreading around. The situation was slowly getting out of hand. Kiwa K. A goblin swung its sword at a car where people were hiding. The bus that Jiak had been on had enough distance to evacuate. But since the car was so close to the gate, those people could safely leave. Khan. The goblin made a horrible shriek as it slashed its sword against the windshield. Since the massive monster wave back in the day, laws were put in place to have all cars built with bulletproof materials. But as the monster continued to strike over and over, a crack started to develop in the glass. What should I do if Shiok were to fight off that goblin? He would be able to prevent the other goblins that he was blocking from dispersing into the city. Citizen No.2 is inside the car and scared. Citizen No.1 is comforting Citizen No.2 by saying that you will come and save them. Citizen 2 is hugging Citizen No.1. You have received 30 likes. Inside the car, a middle-aged couple were holding on to each other for dear life. It was only then that Ji-Cock got a small sense of how this system worked. He realized that this might explain how, no matter how many goblins he fought off, he would level up. He didn't even gain any XP either. The only thing that made him stronger was the likes. With these points, he was able to buy his stats and skills. It was a completely different leveling up system to the usual hunter. Open up the shop window, Ji-Cook ordered. At this rate, it seemed that many goblins would spread out into the city. Right now, he was collecting likes through people cheering him on and sharing their gratitude. But what would happen if there were casualties? He had seen way too many moments where hope had quickly shifted into fear. Jishi continued on. To the search for an aggro skill. Select the one with the widest range that I can use right away, he decided. Comparing your current skills and the least number of conditions required to get the skill books, showing one search result. Roar of the Wild. Purchase. Said the skill book fell into his hands, disappearing with a flash of light. And at that moment, he had instantly learned the skill. Search for a long-distance skill with my remaining points. Something I can use right now too. Searching, showing 240 different search results. Reduce the results to ones where I don't need to buy equipment and have the fastest casting time. G-Cook was in the zone, searching, showing one search result. Telekinetic arrow, buy it. Purchase has been completed. Balance. 0 likes. When he put his hand on the skill book, it also flashed out of existence. Immediately using the telekinetic arrow became natural to him. Roge a powerful roar, like the growl of a bear, erupted from the bottom of G-Kuger's throat. Kuke. All the goblins, including the one that had been striking the glass windows of the car, looked back at him. Right away, G-Kekik attacked with a telekinetic arrow, and a skull instantly shattered into pieces. G-Kayok created another 5 arrows and fired them, one at a time. He accurately hit 5 headshots, and 5 more heads exploded. At the same time, however, came the onset of a severe headache. Marna has been greatly depleted. With the massive headache, all G-Kyok could hear was a loud beeping sound in his ear. His breathing had shortened. He brandished his sword and struck the shoulder of a goblin. Slice. He hit the goblin neck and it died. Citizen 2 sends a huge thank you for saving her life. Citizen 1 is embracing Citizen 2 with tears of relief. With great gratitude, you have received 100 likes. Invest half of my likes into mana. G-Cook decided without hesitation. You have increased your mana rank. As quickly as the headache had come, it also subsided. While G-Kyok was recovering, he noticed 2 goblins that had hurriedly thrown their weapons at him. He blocked them with his shield. Clang! He swung his sword, accurately hitting their heads and knocking them down. G-Kyok's mind was clear to the point that he could focus on other things. At the same time, his attacks began to accelerate. It was then that the goblins he was fighting against all stopped at the same time and stared at the gate. Thud! A giant goblin walked out of the gate. He had bright red eyes and held a greatsword the size of a human body. Hop! Goblin. Following the first one, dozens of other hobgoblins walked out. But at that moment, a mass of blazing fire poured out from the sky. Rukar! Crackle! The flames burned and consumed the hobgoblins all at once. When G-Kyok lifted his head up, he saw a government helicopter floating above his head. The hunters had finally arrived. Are you okay? The speakers rang loudly. Fortunately, a veteran hunter seems to be blocking the gate of monsters. Thank you for your service, hunter. So, you're implying that you've recently awakened? The gate was safely closed with the support of the hunters. G-Cook could hear everything happening in his surroundings as the ambulance noises rang in his ears from all directions. In the midst of all of this, likes continued to come in. It was then that a middle-aged couple came running at G-Cook. Sir. He remembered them. They were the 2 that had been stuck in the car when the goblins attacked. Are you okay? G-Cook asked. Yes, thanks to you, my husband and I survived. How could we ever thank you for saving our lives? As the wife bent over in a bow to express her gratitude, her husband reached into his pocket and pulled out a stack of money. Please, at least take this. He begged G-Shook. No. G-Cook responded. G waved his hand to refuse and placed the money back into the man's pocket. Even though you feel okay now, please make sure to get checked up. Maybe you are injured. Make sure to treat your family to something delicious when you return home. No, the man said. Hey, G. He quickly picked up the money and this time put it in the wife's hand. Please don't worry about me and keep the money. Be sure to go to the hospital and get checked. If you keep doing this, it will put me in an awkward spot. You saved my pregnant wife. It did not much, but I have to give you this. The man pressed on. No, this even more so means that you should get checked up. Just to be sure, G countered. But I'm tired of going back and forth. Just take it back, please. G-Cock finally said decidedly. G-Shiuk was receiving more likes than ever before. The public officer said, The citizens are thanking you, Regno. I just did what I had to do. Anyone in my position would have done the same thing, Ji-heek replied. No, if it was that easy, why would heroes still exist? When the gate opened around Norianjin, yes, Veran, where the gate opened first. Then it opened in the vicinity of Dachidon. As soon as we got there, the gate opened over here. It almost seemed like tactics. Is that place okay? Ji-hyuk asked. There was significant damage because there were a lot of students doing private tutoring sessions late into the night. By the time we were dispatched, the monsters were already pouring out of the gate. The public officer answered. People had to climb the corporate ladder and find an apartment to live in if they could. They absolutely had to find a place to live in the metropolitan area of Seoul, or at the very least in one of the other major cities. Those who could do that put their lives at risk. The 3D industry was even more dangerous, and landing a job was getting harder to boot. Awakening was almost as rare as winning the lottery. Was it natural for the desire to become an awakened to be reflected in educational fervor? Students had no choice but to study more. Families that were not satisfied with online lectures sent their kids to private tutoring classes. It was a cruel world where kids on the Noriangjin yellow bus committed suicide because they could succeed. If only I awakened. These words were often left on suicide notes. The kids never really knew the true reality of what was going on, and neither did the parents, the public officer added. But it will show up in the media soon. But there have been casualties. Oh, okay, I see, Shiku said. He wasn't surprised. Yes, there were people who were capable of fighting them. Even though they were of lower ranks, they still could have put up a fight. But the human mind can just overcome fear whenever it wants to, the official admitted. Of course, it made sense. Anyone would be afraid of the monsters, and wasn't like everyone was trained to be a hunter. For Ji Kyok, without his steady heart skill, who knows what would have happened. Thank God. At least there was someone here to deal with the monsters before we were able to come in time to help out. The official sighed in relief. He asked Ji-hyuk a few more questions, and then finally offered up a handshake. Even though you have just awakened, as you say, it turns out that you're capable of both offense and defense, both melee and long range. All-rounders are very rare, and we were very fortunate to have you there at the right time. The official praised Ji-kuk. Ji-kuk shook his hand. You can leave now. We'd get back to you. Ah, yes. For the goblins you captured, we'll harvest their bodies and get the resources back to you once they've been clean, the official said and walked away. Public officer, no point 1, feels deep respect towards you. None of you have received 10 likes. Asterisk. When Ji-hyuk arrived home, he went straight to lying in bed without even washing himself. That day, the events seemed to be all part of a dream. I was fighting monsters. He could still feel the sensation of smashing the goblins' heads. Wasn't it that strange? And the feeling of blocking them off with his shield. Ji-hyuk's upper arm was so sore, it hurt. It was then that a quest notification popped up ring. Video no point 1 has been recorded. Nana, you have a quest. Done a quest. GodTube to button difficulty. None. You suffered a lot today. You should upload your video to GodTube to get even more likes. Reward. Achievement for completion of beginner skills. Bow, steady heart, and sword and shield. Really were worthwhile skills to have. Do I just upload it? I don't really know how to edit videos? Ji-hyuk pondered as he took off the body cam. The whole course of him saving lives and slaying goblins had been recorded. Let it just upload it as it is, he shrugged. Was there any point in adding music to the video, or editing it into a montage? Ji-hyuk was so old-fashioned that he didn't even know how subtitles worked. Therefore, he went ahead and uploaded the whole raw video. Upload complete. Vine receive your reward. After seeing those messages, Ji-hyuk sprawled into his bed and instantly fell asleep. There was no more strength left in him to shower asterisk. It had been a long time since Ji-hyuk last dreamt of his grandfather. His grandfather frantically placed Ji-hyuk, who had a high fever, into the bicycle basket and pedaled as hard as he could. Ji-hyuk noticed how young he himself was. As far as he could remember, he could only say, Mama, Papa, Grandpa, food, and that was probably it. Right then, his grandfather stopped, wrapped Ji-hyuk into a burrito, and tied him to his back with a piece of cloth. Then, without stopping, he biked up the hill. This was back when his grandfather back was not so busted. Grandpa Ji-hyuk called. Of course, my dear grandson. Lee, be a bit more patient. We'd reach the hospital soon, he said comfortingly. Being a mighty hunter and blocking off a gate were stories that felt like a lifetime ago. Gates and hunters existed and came up from time to time, but this was a time before the massive monster wave had erupted. Back then, the world had all 4 seasons of spring, summer, fall, and winter, and it was still possible to cross the country on foot. Man still ruled the world. Netizens joked around about how the world might be better off without human beings, with how much they polluted the environment. As the world became overpopulated, people eventually reached the conclusion that humans really needed to be eliminated to preserve the environment. People cultivated rice fields and other crops, and drove tractors to harvest them. The croaking of frogs mashed well with the summer and dampness, and made the air seem even more moist. Grandpa me, Hyuk yelled. Something was making his throat sore. When your fever drops, I buy you ice cream. Now let's make sure your shots go well. His grandfather kept pedaling. Kyuk. People will tell you to live your life with kindness. Because kindness is the best. Don't turn out like your old grandpa. You have to be a kind and brilliant adult when you grow up. It was the same saying that he had kept repeating to Kyuk ever since he was born. The phone rang. Kyuk wanted to finish the dream with his grandfather, but it was interrupted. Hyuk woke up. The day he had last dreamed about his grandfather was the day he had awakened. It was on these days, when he made huge accomplishments, that he dreamt of his grandfather in the past. Was there something to do with it? Hyuk didn't understand. I used to get sick pretty often when I was young. Back then, he would cough a lot and have pretty high fever. He had been a child who needed plenty of care and support. Hyuk remembered that his parents had been fighting back then, and so his grandfather had stepped in to raise him instead. His grandfather had made quite a few sacrifices, even more so with Kyuk's grandmother dying so early. The phone kept ringing. Should he pick up the phone, or should he not? Should he just turn it off and go back to sleep? After a couple more rings, Kyuk reluctantly picked up the phone. Hello? What are you talking about? Hugh closed his eyes, trying to pretend that this wasn't real. You're an awakened? It had all over the news, Mr. Kim said directly. The news? Yeah, you're on the news? Dimwit. Since Kyuk had just woken up, he had fully grasped what was happening. He frantically looked for the remote and finally turned on the television. Right there on the screen was the pretty familiar backside of a person he had seen before. It was himself. Even though the phone footage was pretty shaky and didn't have the same high quality and resolution as a broadcast camera, there was no doubt that the person was Kyuk. A single hunter is caught on camera saving countless lives, an announcer said. According to witnesses, this individual has only recently become an awakened, but has shown all 3 types of skills: healing, physical, and magical. The announcer continued. Without receiving anything in return, this hunter has left the scene. According to the Personal Confidentiality Act, the authorities have said that this awakened information... Wait, it appears that there is another video uploaded on the video platform, GodTube. The screen shifted to Kyuk's video that he had put up the night before. Yes, it a video that is exploding in number of views. When the gate opened in the middle of downtown Seoul, the sequence of this recently awakened being saving lives was all recorded. A clip showed Kyuk waking people up and trying to save them. Are you okay? Do you understand what I'm saying? A worried Kyuk asked the injured people in the video. The person responded. Bull, can you stand up? He asked. My leg. The person's leg was hurting. Kyuk's hand glowed and hovered above the leg. His first aid skill activated, and he began treating the injured person. That wasn't all. He treated people and helped them move, asked them to wait patiently, checked the outside for monsters, and bought time for the others to run away to safety. All the clips of Kyuk fighting off the goblins were carefully edited and broadcasted by expert hands. The subtitle read, Heroic Passerby. What the heck was all this about? Suddenly, Kyuk noticed something blinking under his status window. 999 plus unread system messages. The likes he had received piled up as high as a mountain. Every channel reported about the other day gate raid. And of course they did. A gate opening in the center of a city was classified as a major disaster. Ever since warding stones had been discovered, they had been used to prevent the appearance of gates, and that was why people didn't typically see gates opening in a city. Obtaining warding stones was simple, but not easy. A warding stone had a chance of appearing once a dungeon 3-star or higher was cleared. The higher the dungeon rating, the higher the chances for a warding stone to appear. There were no more than a handful of guilds that could clear a 3-star or higher dungeon at that point, and Ji Kyuk had been told in the past that there were fewer than 5 teams in Korea that could clear 4-star dungeons. Dungeons with a 5-star or higher rating were considered impossible to clear for Koreans, who instead had to ask for help from overseas. The news anchor was now discussing the budget today. The National Assembly is still in limbo. The budget is under discussion, but issues are appearing one after another. It's because the warding stones didn't hold up as they should have. Everyone knows that this is the first time in history that this has happened. But common people like me are anxious, a citizen said. An interview followed. But experts say that, thanks to a brave citizen, a major disaster was prevented. However, we simply got lucky this time. If we don't take any measures to protect ourselves, accidents like these may happen again in the future. The reporter stuck the mic in front of a child. They proceeded to ask a few questions, and the child answered. My dad kept hugging me while we were in the car. It hurt. The child described how his father had tried to protect him with everything he had. Did you see everything that was happening from the car? The reporter asked. Yes, my dad kept telling me that we shouldn't leave because the monsters were coming out. I saw a monster. How did you feel? I was so scared. I cried with my dad, but a handsome Hyung too showed up and started hitting the monster. CTV footage appeared on the screen. A goblin was approaching the car where the child was when the telekinesis arrow that Ji Hyuk made pierced the head of the goblin. He then used the provocation skill. That clip was exquisitely edited from the GodTube video uploaded by Ji Hyuk. You didn't get hurt at all, the reporter continued. No, not at all, the child said, grinning. He raised his hands and spread out his fingers, but then his face turned grim as he added, Ada, but I saw that Hyung getting hurt. He was bleeding. The middle-aged couple showed up on the screen. Tushik remembered how persistent they had been as they tried to hand him some bills. We wanted to show him how thankful we were, but he would accept anything we ought, the husband said. We tried to at least give him some money, but he declined that too. He kept saying that he was fine and refused everything. Of course, we're so grateful. He saved so many lives, even though he didn't know any of us. The couple was visibly touched by Jikokora's kindness. Jikok never imagined that the people he helped would go out of their way to share what had happened. The broadcast then showed the same location where he had blocked off the gate, but this time, it was cleared. The dungeon was destroyed, and right there was a face that Jikok knew all too well. Jung Ji-han. He was the grandson of the Jungha Group chairman, Jung Man, Dok, and also the one who had given Ji Hyuk the body cam. He was capable of doing all this. Jung Ji-han had on the typical skin-tight bodysuit that all hunters wore. He stepped out, and Ji should notice that he was wearing his glasses. Of course, all of Jung Man-duk's children are known to be awakened. It was highly likely that if both parents were awakened, then their children would be too. When people first found out about this, they often think about how the Soviet eugenics experiments forced people into marriage and childbirth. In real life, though, it was a lot subtler than that. Find the perfect spouse with Joe. 01. Married life is chemistry and Joe. OEN scientists are Nobel Prize winners. It was like how doctors married other doctors, lawyers married other lawyers, and the children of one cable will marry another cable. People wanted to marry someone in the same class. Hardworking and successful people married those who were like them, and their kids naturally had a high chance to also be hardworking and successful. They weren't just inheriting wealth. They were inheriting power and ability. Back on the day, the SS rank hunter Ung Man Duke had married the most famous American hunter of the century. 2 high-level SS rank hunters were married to each other. The wealth they amassed together was so enormous, the media treated their coverage like a royal wedding. The couple gave birth to kids that followed in their footsteps and married powerful and hardworking people as well as those genetics had been passed on to the 3rd generation. At this point, it would be strange if their grandchildren didn't grow up to be the same kind of people. A reporter politely interviewed the 3rd Genoan Chaebol, Jung Ji-han. That was a fairly intense dungeon. I didn't anticipate that I'd go through anything like this for my first bat, he commented as if on cue. Yep. This is why people say here a robot. Jung Ji-han seemed slightly annoyed and didn't really care about being interviewed. The media still praised him, however, even when he had that cold look on his face. Yes, it would have been terrible if the horde of monsters had come out of the gates. Thank goodness for the hero that blocked the gate and kept fighting for time until we arrived. Jongji Han acknowledged. They're in a rumor. Is it true that Hair, one of your company employees? The reporter asked. It seemed to Ji Shiko that the reporter had already put the pieces together and figured out Geokri's identity, and even the relationship he had with Youngji Han. Youngji Han scrunched his eyebrows, seemingly lost in thought, and then responded again. Yes, he is an outstanding and respectable individual. His work ethic is worthy of being admired. Since he had defeated the dungeon, Jung Ji-han could have used that opportunity to bring attention to himself, but instead he did stop praising Ji-ho. It was only when Jung Ji-han started praising Ji-kook that his cold expression disappeared, and the reporter paid more attention to his words. What is this guy aiming for Ji? Ji-kook seemed to have transformed into a mixture of brave citizen plus hero plus workplace saint, something that would have ever exist in reality. Asterisk. His Got To video had racked up 3.5 million views and 200,000 subscribers. The number of likes underneath the video showed a whopping 87,000. Ji Chiuk was swimming in likes. But that weird. Why are my likes so much fewer than the number of viewers? He looked at the numbers again and quickly figured out the reason. It appeared that he received more likes per person from people who were thankful for his heroic acts than from his GodTube viewers. The GodTube viewers could only click the video like button once, and one like on GodTube counted as one like in the system. The formula went like this. Likes received directly plus viewers clicking the like button on a GodTube video equals the total amount of likes. Not every person who saw the video clicked the like button, but with so many viewers it didn't matter usually. Each of his videos would rake in a massive number of. Ji-shik found it so ridiculous he could help but laugh. Was this what it was like to be a GodTube influencer? It was crazy. This doesn't feel real at all. Ji-hik finished organizing his thoughts and turned on his phone. There was a never-ending list of missed calls from people he didn't know that piled onto a mountain of notifications. Texts all started off with, "Hi. I, producer Kim from Cirque's news station." How the heck did these people even get a hold of his number? Was this what they had to do to make it as a producer? Ji Kayak had become a celebrity literally overnight. I'm the one that comes out of the gray building at the 12 minutes 20s mark. I got so scared and asked my awakened boss to do something, but he just ran up to the evacuation room and locked the door. I was watching the scene with my senior accountant, who was working overtime with me. We prayed that person would get fucked up because that meant we would get fucked up too. The frick. Your boss is such a jackass. Can you report your boss to the Employment and Labor Administration? Does he actually fight as well as in the video? Maybe it's just me, but I think he fought much better in real life than in the video. He doesn't even flinch. Wow, this guy is talented at crushing goblin skulls. He just became an awakened right. He's so skilled, 0 Koreans with special abilities. Sheesh, Shem random. To the video title, and it'll instantly make them sound like a total fake. Random scientist, random soldier, random citizen, random experienced, Endo 0. He really good at fighting, even though he doesn't have many skills. Seeing that he uses the hunter store, he must have a guardian angel that supports him. Yes, he must have a good patron, because nothing else can explain this. But I heard it rare to have one as soon as you become an awakened. I can't see what he purchased from the store through the video. Is it just me? Yeah. Experts say that outsiders can see what the awakened buy. And the shop also won't appear in photos, due to a dimensional interference phenomenon. Whoa, he's so good. He tanking, attacking, and healing by himself. Colts will fight for him. He just as cool as I am. Shut up. I'm more amazed that the guy filmed this and uploaded it to GodTube. How the fuck can someone just so happen to have a body cam and film something like this? Something weird. It are not like a gate can be opened with money. This guy must have wanted to take the first video after being awakened. What the hell are you trying to say? Thanks to him, my mom came back safely. I'd kill you if you talk shit about him, you punk. I can speak my mind. Even if he saved you, you would still ask him to do more things for you, you fucker. There were very few malicious comments. Most of the netizens were talking about how deeply they were moved by Jiakoker's actions and bravery. He's so hot. He good looking and even talented at fighting. Well, I more handsome than him, but his face is not bad. Shut up, full go fuck yourself. I'm one of the paramedics in that scene, and he was such an amazing person. He fought without fear and saved many lives. He was probably scared since here just a freshman awakened, but he stood firm until the end. I remember that there were some other low-ranked awakened around, and they were sorry that they could fight together as their ability wasn't enough for that battle. Fighting monsters is simply that scary, and it must have been a difficult choice. I'm just so grateful for him. I don't intend to disparage those hunters who gave up fighting monsters in that situation. Thank you for letting us know. Thanks for the information. Why were the low-ranked awakened hiding behind this guy? They could have helped with something even if they didn't attack. Where are my taxes going? This guy crazy and alive is a game, and there are so many people who can actually fight even though they're trained for combat. Ji Shiuk thought that it made sense, but he started working as a hunter assistant. He had also believed that the awakened were the best fighters and were fearless. That was because the media only showed this one side of them, in fact, newly. Awakened hunters like Jikuk were pretty much ordinary people. Like anyone else, they got hurt when they fought, and they got scared when they bled. They were human too, and they felt fear. It was a rare occurrence these days, but many of them had died in the past when they were forced to fight the monsters. Let's see who called. Ji Shika scrolled down his call history and finally came upon a familiar number. It was the number of Jung Ji-han, the person he had seen not too long ago praising him on television. Immediately, Jiuk called the number and someone picked it up before the third ring. Hello. I'm so sorry for not picking up your call earlier. Teaming leader, I was asleep. Ji Kok said. He heard a low-pitched laughter at the end. Sorry. No, I need to be thanking you. And you're up just in time. I'm right in front of your house. Huh? Ji? Hook was confused, both on the phone and by the door. Jeek could hear the louding dong. Asterisk. Ji. Shiuk opened the front door in a frenzy and was greeted by his team leader. I'm so sorry. You've come to my place and I have nothing ready for guests. This is what it eaten like, living in the meaning dorm. Oh, don't worry, I brought you sunk. Jung Ji-han had come prepared. He pulled a large bottle of juice out of this rare salamander bag. The glass bottle was bigger than the bag itself, but of course that such a high-grade bag could handle some stretching the cursive letters on the bottle. Didn't look like English, and it seemed to be some sort of expensive import brand. While Ji Kyok was pouring out the juice, he glanced at Jung Ji-han and wondered what the latter was thinking about his narrow dorm room. How embarrassing. Jung Ji-han had been living like a boji for his entire life, so he probably thought that Ji Kika dorm was shabby and crappy. Even so, for some reason, he still looked at Ji Kuk with admiration. I always knew that you lived your life with great integrity. Yeah, as you can see, my room has just the bare essentials. Seems like that means I live with integrities. Yeah, sure. Okay. Totally. Shika laughed. No way I can't accept such praise. Person with abilities. Jung Ji. Han admires your character. You have received one like. The system labeled Jung Ji Han differently from the citizens Ji Shik had previously saved. Was it because he was some sort of important character, or were there other conditions too? There was no way to know, but there was actually something that Ji Shik knew for sure. The system messages never lied. As such, it surprised him that Rong Ji Han was looking at him in such a good light. By the way, I also found out by watching the broadcast that you are an awakened Ji Kyok, pointed out to Jung Ji Han. Jung Ji Han nodded slightly. Yeah, I didn't share it with the world until now, I guess. As a cable, Ji Han was one of the very few people in the country with such high status. It seemed like there were a lot of things he had to be worried about, even within his own class. The reason why I came here in such a hurry is to make you an offer. Yes, Ji Kok was interested. Right now, you're a hunter assistant, and you only work part-time. Junim awakened. Isn't it time you started working as a hunter? Sign a contract with me? Jung Ji Han directly stated his offer. He threw a fast one with no strings attached. This was the first time in Ji Kokra life that he heard of something like this actually happening. He could only catch stories of Sasarank hunters in passing gun companies would indeed go out of their way and proactively scout these hunters to work for them. However, wasn't it rare for rookies to get such an offer? Ji Ki was caught off guard. He was a little dazed as he found himself becoming the main character of one such story. His heart was pounding loudly as if it was about to leap out of his chest. Jai Shi found it difficult to talk to the cable, since he had lived his entire life as an ordinary Korean citizen. He suppressed the instinct that told him to keep, "Wow, thank you for the offer, but I would like to see what your conditions are first." "All right, let's talk about them." The look in Jung Ji-han's eyes changed, and a notification that gave Ji-hook chills coincidentally rang at the same time. A bit too well timed, Ji-hook thought. Ring? Jung Ji-han is using the high-ranking skill. Zhangji is trying to confirm whether your word is reliable. Activating Steady Heart to resist the skill. Anon failed. Now your rank is too low. Ji-hook wondered if the skill could discern between a truth and a lie. Jung Ji-han must have had some pretty rare skills. In fact, it was a miracle that Ji-hook was even notified through the system message. A normal person would have never even known that the opponent was using a lie detection skill. It must have been due to Ji-hook's unique system, which was able to detect an opponent's mood and status. I should definitely not lie. Jae-shik had to get what he wanted while telling Ji-han the truth, but he was doubting himself. Jung Ji-han revealed the first card he had up his sleeve. I understand that you're concerned, but I'll offer you the best terms in this field. I really want to recruit you, Mr. Whoa. Okay, let her calm down. I'm sure you already know that all rounders have a pretty hefty salary in this feed. GL checked to confirm. I see that you want to be paid a lot, Jung Ji-han responded. Yes, I would like to earn as much as I can. What do you really think about me? Ji-hook asked in turn. Jung Ji-han is using his skill, Zanan person, with abilities. Jung Ji-han is trying to determine whether you are telling the truth or not. Dana, he has confirmed that you are not lying. Nanam Ji-hyuk is telling the truth. Jung Ji-han began to verify every single word. Ji-hyuk was saying impressively. He managed to maintain a perfect poker face, even while he was using his skills. Is this due to living the life of a cable? Or is it because Hera Hunter? Well, I don't know. Ji-hyuk was certain that Jung Ji-han had an interest in him, but made sure not to let his guard down. It looks like you have all types of skills, from melee to long-distance attacks and even healing powers. You are also hiding something else, aren't you? Ji questioned. Well, I learned that I should have at least one card up my sleeve while working in the lowest level position in the world. Ji-hyuk replied. You have the perfect qualities for a Hun. Jung Ji-han was impressed. Well, do you have any hidden card? Ji-hook asked in turn. How? Of course. I need to live longer this time. This time. Ji-hook thought that was a weird answer, but it didn't matter. Jung Ji-han's skill continued judging every single one of his responses as the conversation went on. Ji-hyuk is telling the truth. Ji-hyuk is telling the truth. Jung Ji-han seemed to be unaware that Ji-hyuk knew about the lie detection skill. Humans would sometimes lie unconsciously without malice. And since Ji-hyuk wasn't even doing that, Jung Ji-han must have found it strange. He was probably wondering whether Ji-hyuk was actually that much of an honest person or he did it on purpose for some hidden agenda. Of course, Ji-hyuk didn't plan on satisfying Jung Ji-han's curiosity. Jung Ji-han went lost in thought, then said, I'd like to offer you 2 billion won as a down payment, and the terms of the contract off. The already massive down payment only kicked off a series of even better conditions for Ji. What are your thoughts? Ji-hyuk felt as if he was being slapped with a stack of cash. 2 billion won down payment, a 5-year contract, participating in company battles twice a month, and earning 90% from the resources gained through hunting, while the company would get 10%. Ji-hyuk had essentially hit the jackpot. This meant that the company was more or less just getting the money back for handling the travel expenses when Ji-hyuk entered a dungeon. What the heck? These terms are too good to be true. Ji-hyuk had heard of many other hunters' contracts and their conditions, but what he was being offered was even beyond their level. Jung Ji-han added one more thing. We will also pay for your brother law school tuition. Your brother is working part-time for tuition, right? It also going to cost him a lot to open a firm in a decent location. Clearly, he had done his homework about Ji-hyuk's life. He found out this much about me. I thought he was just good-natured, but to think he was also this meticulous. In addition, we'll assign a personal manager to you. What do you think? This contract is the best in the world, but it is the best in Korea. Ji-hyuk replied. You would know that since you have a job with easy access to all this information, So, your answer is Jew? Questioned. Suddenly, the door opened with a beeping sound. Hyung. The guy in the doorframe was as tall as the door itself and had a handsome face. He was Ji Kyoko's younger brother, and he looked back and forth at Ji Kolk and Jung Ji Han. Oh, you have a guest? He realized. Here, my boss. Ji Kolk answered. Ji Kolk's brother looked confused. Ji Kolk pulled on his brother's arm and glared at him to be quiet. Is it possible for me to give you an answer later? Ji Kolk asked. Jung Ji Han nodded. Yes, of course. Please take as long as you want. Jung Ji Han was relaxed, and it would be natural for him to be that way, considering the amazing terms he suggested. He seemed to be confident that no other company would offer better conditions than him. Ji Sheik agreed, but he had a hunch that he could squeeze out more than 2 billion. A message popped up as soon as Jung Ji Han said his goodbyes and left. Distinguished person. Jung Ji Han finds it admirable that you have not told a single lie during your conversation. Vano, you have received 3 likes. Jikok debated whether Jung Ji Han liked him because of his powers or his honesty, but either way he must have been surprised. But then came the usual question. Who or what decided how many likes Ji Shiok received each time? Hey, I heard you're awakened. Why did you stay and help those people? You should have left. No one in their right mind would have stayed. His brother began shooting questions. Ji-Kolk noticed the way his brother was slapping his back with a worried face. It reminded him of his grandfather. Oh no, stop! You're killing your own brother, Ji-Kolk jokingly complained. Oh ho ho, listen to this guy. You don't doubt even take care of yourself. I was so worried for you, his brother continued to scold him. His brother gave him a hug and Ji-Chuk noticed how much taller he was, then patted his brother back. Hyung, you could have died. Everyone thinks you're a hero, but did you know your brother here was absolutely terrified? Ji-Ko laughed at those words, but then he noticed his brother was sweaty armpits and trembling body. I thought I was about to lose you like mom and dad. Hyung, don't do this to me. Seriously. Neither Ji Shiknor's brother had cried the day they lost their parents because they couldn't believe it was true. They had been too young to remember when their grandfather passed away, but facing their parents' joint funeral, they were struck by the cold reality. They had waited, thinking that their mom would greet them at home and their dad would come back in the evening after work. But neither of those things had ever happened again. Those days burdened them and weighed heavily on their minds, and the only thing that brought them back to reality was having to pay the bills. They needed money to afford gas, water, rent, food, and clothes. Jai? Shuka brother said. Nai Shum, stop what you're doing. My scholarship can help pay back the loan debt. Okay. Do you know how expensive it is to set up a law firm in Seoul? Ji-Kook snapped back. Who cares about that? The important thing for me is to make sure my brother is safe. With his pleading expression, his brother looked like an innocent big golden retriever with large flapping ears. She patted his brother back. You're so naive, bruh. Do you know? You're the only one who calls me that, his brother responded. You're just too nice, Ji-Kook remarked. His brother wiped away his tears, but his eyes looked worried that Ji-Kook would leave him and run away. Ji-Shik needed to change the topic. I'm hungry, he said abruptly. What? You're hungry? His brother was the type that could stand seeing his Hyun-ji. Sheik, hungry? Yep, that's the naive and gullible person I know. I'm starving to death. I haven't eaten anything since yesterday. Right. But can't we talk about this while we eating? Hyung, are you injured anywhere? Eating will help me recover faster. Shikoka brother furrowed his handsome eyebrows. Wow, I'm distracting him so well. Cook chuckled internally. Alright, I make sure to cook all the food you like. What do you want to eat? Army stew, 1. Stir-fried potatoes and... Biok began listing the foods he was craving. I'd make sure to make the best meal that you've ever eaten. Tell me everything you want. His brother looked determined as he walked into the kitchen and put on an apron. Yes, he was a really kind brother. Asterisk. This guy's cooking skills have improved big time. Ji Kayuk was satisfied by the food, and his stomach was completely stuffed. You must be a secret Master Shelf winner. How did you manage to make such a good army stew with only Spam and Vienna sausages as ingredients? Never mind, sit down and let's keep talking. I'd slice some apples for you. Why are you so skinny? Hyung, every time I run into you, you keep calling me skinny. Well, this must really think I am skinnier than a toothpick. Jeek rolled his eyes. No, really. You need to gain some weight. Ji Shiok was in decent shape, with developed shoulder muscles from all the rough work he had to do for his job. His brother had no business calling him skinny, dying from starvation, underweight, and all that, all while trying to prepare massive amounts of food for him. That's why he nicknamed his brother Mom. You have received 1 like. You have received 1 like. Ever since he had uploaded his video on GodTube, the likes and recommendations to watch his video continued to climb in real time. As Ji Kung continued catching up with his brother over sliced apples, there was a commotion from down below. It's pretty noisy down there. Don't worry about it. Ji Kung brushed off his concern. His phone suddenly rang, and as he was about to pick it up, his brother's phone rang too. Hyung, look outside, his brother said with a serious look on his face. People and various media outlets had gathered in front of the building. The dormitory guard was blocking them from going inside, but the group continued to get bigger. Hyung, there are headhunters in the crowd from famous guilds. Oh my god! Someone knocked on the door. I'm in concierge. Please do something about the people outside, he desperately yelled. What the heck is this? Jeek, muttered his brother, put down the apple he was slicing. You don't need to go outside if you don't want to, Hyung. His eyebrows furrowed again. Yeno, I'm your big bruh, Shiok reassured him. Yeah, I know, but it'll be okay. Wow, my heart feels like it's going to explode. Ji Shik was the kind of average person who would even be nervous when he had to give a class presentation. There was no way he would be comfortable with the number of people and cameras that were waiting for him. His hands were already clammy. He also knew that if this was how nervous he was, his brother was probably sweating bullets, turning to act like it was nothing. Jiu patted his brother to shoulder. You're getting worried over this? Someone like you who wants to be a lawyer. Hyung, stop worrying. His brother pondered for a long time while Ji Kok ran his fingers through his hair. Alright, everything when going to be fine, might as well get this over with. If it'd be fine, you are a good-looking Hyung. Don't you remember growing up how people told you that you'd become a celebrity? You're acting exactly like Mom would if she was alive. Rhea. Ji Kok rolled his eyes. You're just so good-looking. It'd waste you're not doing anything with your fate. His brother smirked. Jay. She tried to straighten his hair with his hands and threw on some presentable clothes. Here, take it. You don't ever spend money on clothes, Hyun. His brother took off the jacket he was wearing and gave it to Ji. Kick. It looked pretty good when he put it on, as his brother suggested. Whoa, just arranging your clothing makes you look like a celebrity? His brother praised, and Ji Kok thought about how his mom would make the same comment. This situation was just like the dramas Dihek had seen, and now it was time for him to play his own role. Ji Kyok roughly sorted out what he was going to say, and after taking a deep breath, he opened the door. As soon as he did, a startled, familiar face stood right in front of him. Jung Ji Hana Finger was just about to press the doorbell button. I came back because I heard something happened here, but nice timing. Oh yeah, Ji, Shuok replied. Since everyone has found out about our offer, why don't we arrange for you to meet with the other companies too? You'll be able to make a better decision if you listen to their terms. But all in all, I'm confident that you'll choose us. Jongji, Han said. He was more arrogant than confident, but Jia Kyil would have been the same considering his company. Neat offer. On the other hand, there were famous guild headhunters out there, and it was a great chance for Jia Kyil to put himself up for auction. Someone could very well suggest a higher price than the 2 billion Youngji Han had offered. That's a good idea. There are guests waiting downstairs and I can just ignore them. Ji-hyuk smiled nonchalantly. So you're going to try and make deals with all of them, Ji? Han asked. No, I just want to listen to their terms. I'd like to meet them, but not here. I do not want to inconvenience my neighbors, so maybe somewhere quad. Ji-kik responded. Shihan laughed at Ji-ka's words. Ha, you're making me work hard to get you, but I have to? I don't mind talking to them on the mat in front of my doji. Sheik said, well, that would definitely tarnish my reputation. Fine, and look for a spot, Jihan shrugged indifferently. Rin, you have received 1 like. What the hell is the standard for getting likes? Jay Shikok felt his younger brother and gaze on his back. Don't worry, kiddo, I've got thig. Shouldn't his brother feel a little bit relieved now? Asterisk, Jai. Sheik held his meetings at the temporary conference room inside the dorm. Well, it was technically built for the staff as a cafeteria, but someone had hurriedly turned it into a meeting room. They had placed fake walls on the side to minimize sound leaks to the press waiting outside and replaced the dining tables with conference ones. It seemed all right, considering the short time they had to prepare all this. Jung Ji-han guided the headhunters to the room and briefly exposed Ji-Hub to the media in the hallway. It wasn't the kind of press conference where Ji-Kuk would answer questions. Journalists just took pictures of him walking from the dormitory to the temporary conference room. However, even that made Ji-Kuk nervous. Kachik! The camera shutters sounded like lightning bolts, and Ji-Kuk's heart thumped at every flash. He realized how difficult it was to keep himself composed. Reporters shouted questions, but Jung Ji-han stopped them. Ji-Kuk heard one of them murmuring, "Wow, he looks like a mall." Probably because his brother had dressed him up well, the reporters seemed to have taken decent photos of Ji-Kuk. When Ji-Kuk arrived at the room, the headhunters were already in their seats, and the top seat was assigned to him. He bowed at a 90-degree angle before sitting down. "Thank you so much for coming all the way here." The headhunters looked slightly surprised by his actions. "Ring. You have received 1 like. None you have received 1 like. None you have received 1 like. None you have received 1 like. Nang you have received 1 like." As expected, he was getting so many likes. Awakened were usually discovered at a young age, and they were arrogant, especially when they were freshly awakened and enjoyed attention from the headhunters. Jaikit remembered what veteran hunters once told him a long time ago. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. In fact, when something else that guilds desperately want, a powerful awakened, Cake asked. Of course, power is the top priority. But do you know what comes next? What is it? Sociability. Guilds are about teamwork. But how many of the young newly awakened, who are even aristocrats, would have good social skills and be courteous to others? Given their outstanding capabilities, the veteran hunter asked, "So you mean, with their talents, they would care about others?" "Yes, that and the problem, and guilds are responsible for controlling those guys. That's why their leaders are going mad." Jung Ji-han looked to have gotten a sharp retort. "Can you hear the sound of my value increasing? Please listen to me carefully and calmly. I would have never imagined this happening in my career. But I'm so sorry for keeping everyone waiting." To them, Jeek was not only a rare all-rounder who was capable of melee, long range, and healing, but also a hunter with a strong mentality, who managed to ward off goblin scouts without any real battle experience. He was also a rookie, whose appearance was above criticism, and the perfect talk of the town. Therefore, his politeness and good social skills were the cherry on top, and they would definitely increase his worth. The headhunters began typing as if they were drumming together, and their phones vibrated like crazy. The messages they sent to the guild masters and board members sounded to Ji-Kuk like applause from an audience. "Sorry, young Ji. Han, I guess you'll need to offer me more." Asterisk, asterisk. There were headhunters from each guild in the conference room. Ji-Shik gave them 30 minutes to prepare and finish debating their offer to him with their superior. They read off their executives' opinions on their laptop screens. Managing Director Jian Jiang. Seeing how confident they are with their offer, the Junga Group seemed to have willingly set this up. Executive Director Kim Han-sol. But it makes no sense for them to do this, as it likely negatively impacts their company. Itrin probably because they are young blood. They were only being polite and elegant with their words because they were using the corporate meeting messenger. In reality, this translated to, "Motherfucker. Is the Junga Group trying to rub it in our faces and telling us to eat shit?" The chief headhunter, Choi Hyan, Jin from the Daehan Group, firmly agreed with their thoughts as she laughed on the outside, but was clenching her teeth on the inside. Manager Lee Taeyong, Information Team. "As far as we know, we're certain that no contract has been signed. Everything is still fair game. We have attached a summary and sent it to everyone at Teachment." Ji Krog, Zon Choi, Hyan. Jin had already read the profile before she left for the meeting. It was probably the same thing with the other headhunters there. Managing Director Jian Jiang. "I have read all the files, and it's always been tough when it comes to recruiting these rookies. I feel that it's going to be a lot harder with this one." Executive Director Kim Han-sol. Nevertheless, he is not only a person with abilities that been big in the media, but also well-mannered and sociable. He could really give a boost to our company. Need image. Managing Director Jian Jiang. "We believe in you." Choi Hyan Jin. You're the MVP. It was a do-or-die situation for these companies, and with how serious it was, even someone like Choi Hyun-jin was gulping nervously. She had initially joined the Daehoon group as a freelancer, and then moved up to being a headhunter, keeping the position for the past 8 years, and counting Choi Hyun. Jin rolled up her sleeves, a habit she had when she was nervous. I can't chicken out, or else I'd lose. Do they really think they can make us sweat by putting him up for auction? Jongji Hen thinks here hot shit. In this game, I have the upper hand, bastard. She thought to herself. She knew every detail on Jiker file like the back of her hand. He has no parents, no extended family, and his brother is in law school. His brother's grades were good enough to get him a few scholarships, and they have the same exceptional appearance. He took on the job of being a hunter assistant to help out his brother. There is no way that their relationship isn't close. Hyun-jin was checking what she remembered. She took a sip of her cheap coffee and found it bitter. She was a bit surprised that the Unga group would be serving coffee so cheap that even her dog wouldn't drink it. That was probably what the company SD true colors were like. But Ongji Keok was different from them. Was he a diamond in the rough? Because the Daehoon group has good connections with the K University, I think we could win. Choi Hyun. Jin wasn't the only one pondering about her company's offers. All of the headhunters in the room were all under pressure by their superiors. The chairperson keeps saying that we need to take in Ji Hyuk no matter the cost. Why Mir? Some of the other headhunters were thinking their bosses were the intuitive type. They trusted their gut feeling over rationality and demanded that Ji Hyuk be recruited at all costs. Will I be able to sign a contract within the budget set by the executive director? Were worries for other headhunters. Their bosses were the opposite. Calculated and rational. They would pressure the recruiters to stay within the budget and do the job anyway. Those offering benefits or a cut of the profits were more successful in negotiations compared to those who offered a higher down payment. Yeah, scheduling a meeting like they used to do with celebrities, this kind of honey trap is not going to work anymore. Arranging meetings with celebrities to discuss deals was a thing in the past. Handsome male headhunters would meet with female actresses and beautiful female headhunters with male actors. Things were different now, though the times had changed. Mott for the odd chaebol. You could arrange a meeting, but for celebrities it was long past the time when a negotiator could gain an advantage in a deal just by being attractive. The younger the generation, the more realistic and level-headed they were when it came to their own interests. Plus, isn't that this handsome guy so hard-working and busy that he'd never even dated anyone? There was no way Choi Hyun Jin could simply set a meeting with him and persuade him like that. I'd have to take a different approach to get his attention. The timer finally reached the end of its 30 minutes. Bleep, beep. The small phone whose alarm went off had cracks and paint peeling off its sides, to the point that it was amazing it still worked. It was G. Shook her own phone, he turned off the alarm and took a deep breath. I look forward to your proposals. Again he bowed again at a 90-degree angle. His show of good manners made him more desirable for companies, as they saw his steadfast values and sociability firsthand. You have received 1 like. Arnie, you have received 1 like. Arnie, you have received 1 like. Arnie, you have received 1 like. Out of all the rookies these headhunters had met, this youngster had a different kind of hunger for success. Asterisk. Asterisk. Choi Hyun. Jin was the first to raise her hand. My name is Choi Hyun. Jin and I am from the recruiting division of the Daehoon group. May I go first? The polite way Choi Hyun Jin acted made her stand out compared to the other stone-faced headhunters. It was a competitive negotiation anyway, and people were willing to change their terms according to someone else's conditions. Jung Ji-han responded before Ji-kuk was able to speak. Let it go in order. The Daehoon group will be first to speak, and the next should get ready to raise their hand. I will let you know when to begin. Choi Ji-hoon smiled and gave Jung Ji-han a cheeky laugh. Oh, you're going to be the host today. Ha ha. Okay, Jungga groupum younger generation sure seems to have some skill. She was basically making fun of how someone as young as Jung Ji-han loved to play boss in these situations. She then turned to face Ji. She hoped the Daehoon group is prepared to offer you a down payment of 4 billion won, a 5-year contract, and the management cost will be 15%, while you take the rest of the 85%. Choi Hyun Jen dropped the conditions of the contract. All sorts of reactions filled the atmosphere. But Choi, we can support your brother through K University Law School and guarantee 5 years of housing. If you like the house you live in and want to renew your contract, we could give it to you for free. Ji Seok felt his heart pounding hard. 4 billion won. It was double Ji Han offer. And even though the management costs were 5% higher, wasn't it still a crazy deal? Choi Hyun. Jin from the Daehoon group smiled as she continued speaking in high spirits. I trust that all of you are aware that the Daehoon Group is the #1 construction company in Korea. Here is the area where we are planning to redevelop housing. It Dae great real estate location. She turned her laptop so she could see the screen. Daehoon Apartments, Korean top luxury apartments. Daehoon construction and influence was so massive that anyone could sing the commercial jingle when they heard the company Eid name, while the Jungha Group dominated the IT industry. Daehoon led the world in construction and engineering. They had more than 3,000 patents for technology that drove out monsters and protected residents. Our homes will be your castles. Live like royalty. Advertisements would claim their range of premium luxury apartments included White Castle, Brown Castle, Black Castle, and castles of other colors, and their sales had skyrocketed as the buildings had protected residents without ever being damaged during the monster wave. The United Arab Emirates commissioned the Daehoon Group with an unbelievable deal, and other countries like the United States, Northern Europe, and Singapore followed suit. This area will be a part of Gangnam New Town and will develop into a luxurious 120-story residence. It be called Diamond Castle. They building another castle series. For the people first moving in, the margin of profit would be insane. The Diamond Castle is where all of Daehoon cutting-edge technology will be installed, and it become the most luxurious building ever. But please keep this a secret. We've taking extra caution because our chairperson is planning to live here. What a point of keeping this a secret. When people started to move in, it was going to be leaked by every single newspaper, and whole country would follow the story avidly. Choi Hyun Jin continued, acting modestly. We tried our best to find one near K University, but we'd look for more. If you don't like this place, of course we'll work hard to find one that fits your status and reputation, mister. Having a humble voice and attitude didn't mean an individual was truly modest. She was actually telling the other headhunters to fuck off if they did have a better deal to offer. Sure enough, their faces stiffened, and even Rong Ji-hen's expression changed in a split second. This is pretty interesting. She. Although he was nervous, he rode the momentum and carefully replied to her. I did expect you would think so highly of my ability. Ring, you have received one like? You are the person our group is looking forward to working with. We would like to offer you more, and we're only concerned about whether we've missed some pay. Choi Hyun. Jin said the Daehoon Group you offer was much more than Jiak had expected. Daehoon Group is indeed one of the largest companies in Korea. Ji-kook was impressed. Jae-kook liked how the accommodation was close to his brother's school and that the Daehoon Group was giving him a new place in the most expensive location for free. Above all, he loved the 4 billion won they offered as a down payment. He was so touched about how much the Daehoon Group wanted him that he was about to cry. Asterisk. The headhunters calmly resumed stating their deals. We'll give you 4 billion, and the management costs will be 10%, with you taking 90. In the long run, gaining 5% more profit is a lot better than getting an apart, one of them said. Really, but I don't even know the extent of my abilities. Who knows what profits I'd be making? People called the state of excitement right after being awakened the awakening syndrome, something similar to the Fengshu Uniview. But Jiaek managed to keep a level head. It was because he had dealt with too many hunter corpses to have any sense of omnipotence or excitement. His trauma from work dragged him down forcefully, and he would be able to recover from it even with psychological therapy. An apartment. Wouldn't it be the best for my future? He wondered if choosing the Daehoon Group would be the correct answer, as apartments were insanely expensive at that point. 20 Payan 2 apartment units were often more pricey than 100 Payan marble mansions, depending on the location. Then another Furman headhunter said, 4 billion is also the maximum amount we can give, but we'd arrange your marriage with the Shinsun Group chairman family. We do like to build a deeper relationship with you through kinship. Others began murmuring, what exactly do they see in me? Ji-hyuk thought in confusion. He knew they didn't intend to make him an heir, so he would probably be married to some distant relative. G-Plank thought they really might have found his background check satisfying. Even though I marry for money, what if the girl doesn't like me? I've heard Chable prefer to marry a capable guy. But will I be happy without love? Or are they going to set me up with a mentally ill person? Or maybe purchase me like a stallion to have the awakened gene in the family? Ji-Keek couldn't understand the headhunter offer, no matter how hard he thought about it. Although it'd been an arranged marriage, don't you have to ask the girl about her opinion first? The headhunters looked at Ji-Keek as if his remark was a fresh insight. You have received one like cake. He didn't understand why he got one, just like that. But then the headhunter replied, "You don't need to worry about that. She already agreed on it just by looking at your picture. I can tell you which family she belongs to, as this is only a suggestion. But she brought up this idea first. She agreed that appearance was an essential factor for a budding love relationship, but he was worried that she would like his personality, he thought. Becoming a cable would actually be amazing, since he could help his brother get employed after his university graduation. However, it seemed like there was more troublesome work to do than if he signed up with the Daehun group. All the offers were so amazing that they didn't feel real at all to Ji-Hook. Well, his sense of reality had vanished anyway from the moment Ji-Han had offered him 2 billion. Asterisk. The amount of down payment they offered continued to increase. We'll pay for every piece of equipment you need during the contract period if you want. We can help you improve faster by matching you with hunters or mentor at Class B or above. It was the best term for the beginning hunters since it would be such a valuable experience. However, Jae-Cook thought mentorship and connections were unnecessary. His ability was unique, and he could ask for help from others. Not to mention, he already had plenty of inside information. Also, talking to experienced people might result in inadvertently disclosing his abilities to the world, which could be dangerous for him. Another headhunter suggested, "But we provide you unbepit from the 3-star dungeon that just opened. How about a silver boxed?" Hunters obtained random boxes after clearing dungeons, and no one knew what would be inside the box until it was opened. Shawlers claimed that there was actually nothing inside a box, and the item was only determined when the hunter opened it. A silver box would at least give Ji-Cook a rare item, which was a great start for a new hunter. All in all, the most attractive suggestions among the tens of offers: 4 billion plus a castle apartment in the most expensive area, plus 85% of the profit 2. 4 billion plus 90% of the profit 3. 4 billion plus matchmaking with a Shibol family, plus 80% of the profit 4. 4 billion plus silver random box, plus 80% of the profit. When I narrow it down, I want an apartment. Ji-Shik searched for the competitive rate for purchasing 1 unit at Diamond Castle while pretending to look at the clock. There were almost 1,000 people competing for each apartment. And even though Ji-Kyok used to bore one-time cash payment as a search condition, the buyer-to-apartment ratio didn't change at all. What more? Looking at the market price, Ji-Kyok would earn at least 8 billion if he resold it later. The internet stated that celebrities, lawmakers, and even famous entrepreneurs failed to buy one as the apartments were simply too popular. There are so many people with lots of money worldwide. Ji-Shik assumed most Korean celebrities lived in one such apartment. Yes, I should choose the apartment. The future is castle. He felt bad for Jun Ji-han, but there was no other offer that touched him, except the term apartment. However, just as he was about to make his decision, Yong Ji-han started speaking again. "Do you mind if we increase the amount from our initial offer, Mr. Amel?" he suggested in a calm voice. "Wait, why are you pissed off if you were going to raise the terms?" Ji-Kok thought. Junga Group is offering a deposit of 8 billion won. Jun Ji-han said it was twice as much as the others, but it was still not enough compared to the apartment price, and Choi Hyun Jin from the Daehun Group said precisely that. Wow! Twice as much. Not bad, but that simple investment is meaningless when considering Mr. Ummer's future. Yes, real estate is my future. The new apartment on the most expensive and popular piece of land in Korea, Castle. Castle G. Shioker eyes blinked with determination. Jikil felt like an eagle as the symbol of Castle Apartments was spreading its wings behind Choi Hyun. Jin, Jong Ji-han added, "I agree. The future is really important, and I think a great person like Mr. Umma would need a family that can support him in the future, no matter what happens. For this reason, we would like to add a Class B awakening stone on top of the 8 billion. In an instant, the entire room became noisy. Class B awakening stone? What, is he crazy? Gee, Shioker's mind went blank. An awakening stone was an extremely rare item that turned an ordinary person into an awakened. Since it didn't have side effects, even the lowest class ones were insanely expensive. And even if one had the money, they were also incredibly hard to come by. The class indicated the initial class of the target when he or she became an awakened. For instance, a Class D stone would turn a person into rank D awakened. You're lying. The 2 Class B awakening stones from last year are owned by our company. No more stones are available on the market. Choi Hyun, Jin snorted. What? The Daehan group has 2. Jihak widened his eyes. This kind of information could never be found in newspapers. Why would I tell you how I got it anyway? Even if the awakening stone was resold, it would go for at least 20 billion. What do you think, Mr. This is also an opportunity to make your brother into an awakened. Or you can just resell it, Jongji. Han said arrogantly. Jaik was dizzy. What do you think? What is your decision? Everyone looked at Jai. Jock, he wanted to think about the true meaning of Zhang Jihan words, but the sound of his heartbeat rang in his ears. Jai Cook answered with difficulty. Would have to call my brother. Jikok needed someone to advise him.